Hello, Father Fred here again today, and my shirt there says "Catch Up with Jesus," and it's got a bottle of ketchup there. Here we've passed through chapter 32. Now we're going to go into chapter 33. If you happen to be watching for the first time, I suggest this every once in a while just to keep you informed. If you're viewing these videos for the first time, I would say go to chapter 1 because they're built. It's one on top of the other, and it's not so easy to come in and find out, hey, there's more than one author here without knowing how they became to more than one author. And that's explained in chapters 1 and the first part. So just go to my profile and just scroll on down until you get to chapter 1. Now they're in English and Spanish, and I'm sure you'll get the right one because you're not going to probably understand the Spanish. Now, in the last chapter, Laban and Jacob, they had their differences, they had their problems, but they have agreed to disagree. And Laban goes one way and Jacob goes the other, and they're hoping they don't ever see each other again because they didn't part in real friendly terms. Okay. Now, remember in that last chapter, Jacob also fights with God, and he gets his name changed. God changes his name. He changes it from Jacob to Israel. And remember, when God changes somebody's name, and he just doesn't change many, he changed Abram to Abraham, he changed Jacob to Israel, and later Jesus is going to change Simon to Peter or to the rock. So there's something special going on. With Abraham, he got to be the father of many nations. He's kind of started the faith. With our friend here, Jacob, he's going to be changed to Israel, and the whole country is going to be named after him. And there's going to be 12 tribes, and those 12 tribes will be ruled by his descendants, 10 of his sons and 2 of his grandsons. And we'll get to, it's coming up not too far off. Okay, so Jacob fights with God, and then he says, I'm going to name this place Peniel, because that means he fought with God and lived. Because their view was that if you saw God, that would be the end of it. You would die. Nobody could stand the brilliance of God. But Jacob gets to fight with God, and he gets his new name. Now, Jacob is going to continue his journey onto his homeland, to Canaan, and God had promised him through an angel that he would be with him and take care of him, and he's also going to have the same promise that Abraham had, going to have children, and everything's going to be fine. But to get to Canaan from where he is, he has to come through a place named Seir, or it's also called Edom. Both of them mean red, and this is where his brother lives, Esau. And Esau also means red. And you remember the red stew. That's what he used to steal his birthright, and then got his father's promise too by deceit. So now he's coming back home, and he's got to go through the land of Esau. And in the last chapter that was by the southern writer, he was very much afraid. Now, in this one, remember, there were 2 stories about how Jacob got to Laban. The first one was that he stole the birthright of his brother Esau, and so he took off running to get away because Esau planned on killing him. That was in J, or the southern. Now, in E, it's a completely different story. There is no deceit. He just goes on up to where Laban is to find his wife, find himself a wife, Rebecca. Okay, now they're going to meet right quick. And this one, there's no fear in this one because there was no fear in the E source or the northern source. There was no fear there because he didn't leave because he was afraid. Jacob didn't. He left because he was looking for a wife. So this source is going to be from the same one, from the north. There's no fear here. Let's look now. Go to chapter 33 of Genesis. And I'm going to read the first verse. And you read along with me. Open your Bibles and read along with me. And I think you'll enjoy it. And I think, as Catholics, this is so, for me, so beautiful because we get to study the Bible and we're going to be finding out as we go along, we're going to find our faith. Okay, let's look at verse 1. Jacob looked up and saw Esau. So he's already there. Right now in chapter 33, he's meeting Esau. He looked up and saw Esau coming with him and with 400 men. Now that can be a little frightening. So he divided his children among Leah, Rachel, and the 2 maidservants. He hadn't seen him for over 20 years. He spent 7 years working to get Leah, 7 years to get Rebekah, and then 20 years to take care of Uncle Laban's animals, which he later stole. Jacob looked up, again this is verse 1. Jacob looked up and saw Esau coming, and with him 400 men. So he divided his children among Leah, that's the first one he married, Rachel, that's the one he really wanted to marry and finally did, and the 2 maidservants. Each one, Leah and Rachel, have their maidservants with them. They don't sound too impoverished, do they? Verse 2, putting the maidservants and the children first, Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph last. He's got them lining them up. He's going to start with the maidservants. But then 3 says he's going first. Sound like they were going first, but he sets them all up there, but then he goes in front of them, it looks like. He himself went on ahead of them, bowing to the ground 7 times. Now remember, 7 is not just a number between 6 and 8. 7 is a number that means perfect and it means complete. In the book of Revelation, the number 7 appears 54 times, and some of the others do not even appear any. It's just they were really concerned about numerology. He himself went on ahead of them and bowing to the ground 7 times until he reached his brother. He's bowing before he even gets there. Verse 4, Esau ran to meet him. He runs to meet him. Wonder what's going to happen? It's going to be bad? No. Esau's not mad in this story. Esau ran to meet him, embraced him, and flinging himself on his neck, he kissed him and wept. There is no anger here. This was not from the story where he was deceived. Verse 5, then Esau looked up and saw the women and the children and asked, who are these with you? Jacob answered, they are my children, with whom God has graciously favored your servant. Your servant. 6, verse 6. Then the maidservants and their children came forward, and they bowed low also. Verse 7. Next, Leah and the children came forward and bowed low, and lastly, Joseph and Rachel. Now, Rachel has had one child, and she's named him Joseph, and Joseph is going to be possibly the best moral person in the whole Old Testament. Next, Leah and her children came forward and bowed low. Lastly, Joseph and Rachel. That's Rachel and her son Joseph. They came forward and bowed low. And then Esau asked, what did you intend to do with all these herds that I encountered? And Jacob answered, it was to gain my Lord's favor. So it's got some play back in there with it when he was deceiving him. J was written first. J in the south was written first. The northern one was written later, and it changed it some. It had the same background. They're coming. Jacob is coming home, whether it's J or E, but E adds a little bit more to it. Then Esau asked, "What do you intend with all these herds that I encountered?" And Jacob answered, "It was to gain my Lord's favor." So he knew about J, so there's a little bit in here about having to repay him. Verse 9 says, Esau replied, "I have plenty. I don't need your sheep. I don't need your cattle." He's been blessed also. Esau replied, "I have plenty, my brother. You should keep what is yours. I don't need your cattle." I think Jacob is two things, maybe. He's trying to appease Jacob, but he's trying to maybe appease his own conscience too. Verse 10, "No, I beg you," said Jacob, "if you will do me the favor, accept this gift." Now remember, he took both gifts from Esau back in the southern source, the J source. "Accept this gift from me, since to see your face is for me like seeing the face of God." Seeing it, he's putting it on pretty thick. Seeing you is like seeing the face of God. "And you have received me so kindly." Yeah. Yep, there's still a little bit in there about from the J source that was written first, and the E source knew what was going on, but they changed it some. Jacob is pretending to return the blessing, but just the blessing, just the animals. He's not going to let him come back in to Canaan, into Israel. Verse 11, "Accept the gift I have brought you, for God has been generous toward me, and I have an abundance." Sure he does. He stole them. Since he urged him strongly, Esau accepted. So he gets back something for it, all that it's taken from him 20 years ago, but he still doesn't get to go back to Israel. Then Esau said, "Let us break camp and be on our way. I will travel in front of you." Just in case there's any problem, I guess. I'll travel in front of you. Verse 13, "But Jacob replied, as my Lord knows, you're the Lord and I'm the servant. As my Lord knows, the children are too young and the flocks and herds are nursing. They are a concern to me. If overdriven for over a single day, the whole flock will die." I think he's stretching it a little bit, but he wants to be in a different bunch. He's going to go a different way. He's not going to stop in Seir or in Edom, which means red, just like the red stew, and just like Esau means red. This whole thing is written, it's brilliant, the way they tie in the numbers and they tie in the extra meanings of colors and land and so on. Verse 14, "Let my Lord then go before his servant, while I proceed more slowly at the pace of the livestock, before me at the pace of my children, until I join my Lord in Seir." But he's not going to join him there. He's telling him this, but he's not going to go there. He's going to go back to Canaan. He's going to take a different route. Verse 15, Esau replied, "Let me at least put at your disposal some of the people who are with me." But Jacob said, "Why is this that I am treated so kindly, my Lord?" This is written not with where he was. It's not like in the J source where he was so devious, but the E source knows that he was devious, but he just doesn't have the anger in it. He runs and hugs him and kisses him. Verse 16, "So on that day, Esau went on his way back to Seir, back to where his country." Verse 17, "And Jacob broke camp for Succoth. There Jacob built a home for himself and made booths for his livestock." Booths. He made like little corrals. This is why the place is called Succoth. Succoth means booths or tents. Verse 18, Jacob arrived safely at the city of Shechem. Now, Shechem is in Canaan. He's home. He didn't go to Seir. He didn't stop where Esau lived. He took his own route. That's why he didn't want to go with him, I think. He had no intention of staying there. And Shechem is way on the other side, almost to the Mediterranean Sea. It's on the western side of Israel. He had to cross all the way across to get there, but Shechem is an important place for the Israelites. It's one of their holiest cities. So verse 18 again. Jacob arrived safely at the city of Shechem, which is the land of Canaan, when he came from Paddan Aram, and he encamped in the sight of the city. He's right close to it. This is also where, now this is Jacob, and it's also where Jacob's going to have a well. You might have heard sometime, Jacob's well. Well, this is where it is. Verse 19. The plot of ground on which he had pitched his tent, he bought for 100 pieces of money from the descendants of Hamor, the father of Shechem. So the name of the town is Shechem, and it's named after this man, Shechem. And we're going to read about Shechem. He's not going to be such a happy fellow coming up. And the very last verse, this was short, just 20 verses. He set up an altar there and invoked El, the God of Israel. El means God. We have one city named Bethel. Bethel. And Bethel means the city of God. Well, we've got Jacob. He's been gone for 20 years. Now he's back home. He's got 11 children, 6 with Leah, 2 each with the maidservants, and 1 with Rachel, the one that he loves, and he's going to love this one. His name is Joseph. That's the first time we saw his name today. He loves Joseph more than any of the others. But Rachel is going to get to have one more, because the number 12 means it belongs to God. So there are 12 apostles for us. There are 12, in this, 12 sons of Jacob, or the 12 tribes of Israel. That was a short one. Enjoy, have a wonderful week. I'll see you back here next week, and we're going to find out. Rachel's going to have another boy. You notice it's not even mentioning the girls. You know there were girls born, but they were just kind of like property. God bless.